Saturday night. Late for some of us, early for others. It is 9:42 Mountain Standard Time. This is Unmasked. I'm your host, Jason Fortune. We were supposed to come on at 7 p.m. and at 6:30, power outage. I was all ready and prepared to. And this is part of it. I almost didn't come on. I was almost done. By the time we got power back, everything's up and ready to go. I was going to not do it. And then I remembered to myself, I was bummed out. And then I remembered this isn't about perfection. This is about showing up. This is about consistency. This is about, telling the story over and over again to ourselves, to everyone else, and being here, being present, and being mindful. So while this is later on for me in the evening, I would rather be in other places and relaxing. I wanted to be here. I wanted to be here and doing this and finishing what I wanted to do tonight. And I was moved yesterday, and I'll tell you why as we get going, but yesterday I was very moved to talk about this and tell this story. So, as we do every single time we start off, wherever you are tonight, wherever you are, if you find this in a replay, go ahead and feel what's holding you. The bed, a chair, couch. Maybe the only thing holding you is your shoes and your clothes. But feel that. Feel the comfort of that. And now, let's take a big, long, slow inhale through your nose. Fill those lungs up. Go ahead and close your eyes. Now exhale slowly like you're blowing out through a straw. All the way out till you're at the bottom. And hold it just a little at the bottom. Now take a big inhale through your nose. Slow. Imagine filling up your lungs from the bottom to the top. Now at the top, pull your shoulders up a little bit while you still have your breath, and let out and drop those shoulders. And when those shoulders are at the bottom, give them a little wiggle. Give them a little wiggle. One more big inhale through the nose. All the way to the top. Now, slowly and slowly, let's all release this breath together. Let's all just relax into this later evening. Let's all just go ahead and move on into the next part. It is 9:30 tonight. Tomorrow, I will have my wife and co-founder of Sage Collective on, and we are going to talk about Sage Collective, talk about why we created Sage Collective, what was inside of us that caused us to do this, how it all came together, and just have a discussion with each other a little bit on Unmasked, because that's what we do. We get real here, and we don't get real in the sense of getting real. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to some of my earlier channels, or some of my earlier sessions, like day 10, day 11, or day 12, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Anyway, tomorrow, Carol Ann and I will be talking about Sage Collective. That'll be in the afternoon. Tuesday, January 13th at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I'm going to bring on Anissa Matthews. She is, let me go ahead. I'm going to bring on Anissa at 9:30 in the morning on Tuesday. She is a master facilitator with Sage Collective and has deep experience holding trauma-aware healing spaces. That's Tuesday, January 13th at 9:30. Thursday, January 22nd at 1:30 Mountain Time. A good friend, a good healer, a good guide, a good coach, Noah Saboliak, is going to come online. He works with men, healing, and the conscious warrior. He works with strength without domination. He works with being a real man. And as a quick aside, the first time I met Noah, when he was my first guide in the psychedelic program I'm going to talk about, I was living homeless in the back of a truck. That was the very first time I ever met Noah online. So that'll be interesting to have him now. It kind of comes full circle. I'll have him back online on the show, on the space. Okay. Just kind of letting it sink in here a little bit. Letting the flow happen. All right. So, 2 years ago, right now, tonight, on January 10th, I was living in the back of my truck in a detached garage in a stranger's house that I didn't know, barely knew. I had gotten myself into trouble like I had talked about, and I was effectively homeless. Even though I did have a home, I was effectively homeless. It was my third time in my life. And today I'm here with you, sharing this space in my house, in the studio that me and my wife have built, and my son. And it feels good. It's a pretty amazing trajectory to come from there to here in 2 years. And I'm pretty overwhelmed at it at times. And I'm gonna rewind back. I'm gonna take you fast, but I'm gonna take you back and just kind of do a teeny bit of a recap, because I want you to understand that the complex PTSD that I've had since I was a child, it was affecting me and already tearing me up by the time I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. So by the time I'm 14, I start learning how to cope and I start learning how to numb. You know, I have my first drink when I'm 14 at the Wichita River Fest, you know, drinking beer with all the buddies, thinking we're cool. And I realized the alcohol made me feel better, you know, so did the cannabis. My family figures out that I'm smoking and drinking, so they put me in treatment. And that is my first taste with tough love, with being told I'm not good enough, with being told I have impulse problems. Definitely not the fact that I was ever abused. That doesn't come up, and that's not it. It's you've got impulse problems, and you need to take care of yourself because you're making the family look bad. So I go through treatment. I accept the labels. I believe the labels. You know, addict, alcoholic, all that stuff. I carry it, you know. I leave home my high school years in handcuffs. And that's all detailed on, I think, day 11. If you go back and look in the videos, I leave home in handcuffs. Other people leave and go to college and start their lives and give their parents hugs and that, handcuffs. And this starts a cycle. I graduate high school living by myself. I am dealing, I am doing anything to stay alive, and just a product of everything around me, everything that happened. You know, my CPTSD that I have as a kid, and I don't know. I just think I'm getting in trouble. I think I'm being stupid. I think I'm having problems. But I get fired, getting a lot of fires, moving around a lot. It is not a stable life at all. My life is a party, and the reason why is it hurts so bad in the daytime, or when I am not high, not drunk, not numb, not coping. It hurts. My complex PTSD literally hurts. And I numb to feel better. Out of all this, I get married. I'm still wanting to numb. I am still trying to heal the pain, not heal the pain, numb the pain constantly. I have a child. Things aren't good. The marriage is never good the whole time. And the only time I ever felt good was when I felt no pain. That is when I felt good. Outside of that, I'm at work. I'm trying to write copy. I'm trying to interact and be normal when 80% of my mind is torn away with, I don't even know what at the times. Now I know, but I don't know back then what it is that's tearing me up, and my friends don't know. My family acts like they don't know. It's just the way Jason is. If this space resonates with you, this is what Unmasked is about. We drop our masks and we tell the truth. Unmasked continues all throughout the week and the weekends. Sage Collective is live. We're starting the soft launch now. And all of these upcoming conversations are part of this work. Tomorrow afternoon, Carol Ann and I will be talking about Sage Collective. Tuesday, January 13th at 9:30 a.m., Anissa Matthews will be on with us, another master facilitator with Sage Collective. And on Thursday at January 22nd at 1:30 Mountain Time, Noah Saboliak will be with us. So I moved to Chicago, and I have a good job, career type thing happening, and I'm still trying hard and sneaking around everywhere to be numb, to not let people know how much I am numb, and still trying to work. And there's a lot. I'm young. I have young in the marriage, young child, and I'm in Chicago, and I'm not making very much money. Bills are high. Hiring freezes happen because it's the early 2000s, if you remember. Just stress is at its peak. And me and my wife never got along anyway, so you add all this together, and what has happened? Fireworks, explosions. The shit hits the fan, not a few times, but a bunch, and it erupts with me leaving the house and experiencing my first period of homelessness. And I end up in the Cook County rehab. That's a rehabilitation place, unit for inmates in Cook County, which Cook County is Chicago. I get out, I work through the homelessness, pull it back together, get another good job, because that's something I can do. I can always pull it together and land on my feet. I just can't keep it there very long. I move back to Wichita, start my job, get everybody as stabilized as best as I can. And I start drinking again, After treatment, I stayed sober for just a little while, started drinking. you know? It's a social lubricant, makes me feel good after a hard day of work and having probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 fight or flight attacks, because that's what CPTSD is, by the way. Fight or flight attacks. And for me, it was just fight attacks all day long. It wouldn't be uncommon for me to have, I don't even know, 20 fight or flight spikes. Just dealing with that. Just because somebody gave me some shit about some copy or didn't like something, or just daily human interaction and the friction that goes along with that. And here I am spiking out, you know, and it all just starts happening like it does. Bars and late nights, being hungover at work, can't write because I'm real hungover. Also don't give 3 shits about the writing that I'm doing. I'm unraveling on the inside. During this time, I'm diagnosed bipolar, and a decade of pharmacological hell goes by. And for any of you that have been diagnosed bipolar, ADHD, any of those good labels, you know all about the pills and the side effects. So I go through a decade of that, and on top of that, I don't quit drinking or anything. And even though it says on the label, right on the label, don't drink, don't consume alcohol with this, you know, alcohol is what numbs me and makes me feel better. So and here's important clarification, or just a place to kind of push this in. At this point in my life, after bipolar, after everything I've gone through, the alcoholism, the addictions, whatever you want to call those, for me, they were coping. Medications didn't work anymore. Therapies weren't working anymore. I was treatment resistant everything. It didn't matter. That was my diagnosis, treatment resistant depression. What else? I mean, anything that I did with any doctors, because there were plenty around me, psychiatrists and whatever, all during these times, because Jason was bad. It was always ended up being treatment resistant. That's how the doctors went ahead and, you know, opened the door and walked out at the end when they were like treatment resistant. Therapy didn't work. Medications didn't work. Alcohol numbed me and made me feel better, but it destroyed everything around me. I was running out of options, and I was getting to that place where I was willing to try anything. I get divorced in 2009. I reconcile shortly thereafter, and in a Hail Mary attempt, I moved to Manitou Springs, Colorado. All my drinking, you know, that was a try to get away, like I've done all throughout my life. And whenever you run, everything you're running from just chases right after you. You can't outrun this stuff. You can't outrun this stuff at all. So like you would expect it to, everything blows up, you know, everything blows up. And I experienced my second period of homelessness. I am sleeping in parks next to my motorcycle, and I detail this, like I keep saying, in day 11. I'm robbed at gunpoint. Shit's not going well. In my lowest moment, I'm able to kind of pull things together. And this is what I'm good at, you know. When I scrape bottom, I go ahead and pull on the hip waders and start climbing myself up, you know, inch by inch. And I stabilize kind of somehow. Not really, but I stabilize a little bit. I get a place to live. I get my son into a place, and something incredibly amazing happens. I meet Carol Ann, and I don't know what she saw in me. You know, I was not in a good place, but she loved me, and I loved her, and it all started. I put the bottle down into our relationship. My memory started to return, and it was fucking difficult. It was. Any of you that have been through that know what I'm talking about, say no more. And for the rest of you that don't know, just be glad you don't know, and be glad you're probably not ever gonna know. Or so during this time also, you know, Caroline and I decided to get married. We move back to Colorado. We come up to Colorado, move up on top of this mountain where we're at now at 9,400 feet. There's no places around us. That's why I just say I'm at 9,400 feet in the high Rockies, because we're on a mountain. Shooting this through a satellite, and at times the electricity goes off. So anyway, we moved to Colorado. My dreams are coming true because I've always wanted to be here, and during this whole time, memories are coming out of me, and it's getting increasingly harder to live. I can't sleep, I can't eat, and the dream and the fantasy that I have of everything that I have in a beautiful fantasy, a beautiful family, it is slipping through my fingers because I'm so jacked and I don't still quite know what's wrong. I know now that there's trauma. I know now that I have some form of PTSD, probably complex PTSD, but we're still digging through and working all this out. And I didn't know, now I do know my CPTSD, complex PTSD, compounds to the point of where they call it the pin getting pulled. And on Christmas Eve 2 years ago, I had a meltdown, and I was having a slow meltdown. And at that time, you know, it peaked on a holiday. My family was scared. They called the police, as they should. They were scared. What else can you do right then? They didn't know what to do. So anyway, I went through it again. The police pulled me out. I'm arrested, and I experienced my third period of homelessness. And right around this time, when it's all starting to fall apart, I do enter a psychedelic healing program. And this was 2 years ago. And I know what all of you are thinking. You know, which psychedelic healing program did you enter? And you know what? It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why. For those of you that are interested, you're going to find your way. For those of you that this is calling to you and you think this might help me, what he's saying might help me, you'll find your way in. It's not hard. We all know how to Google. For those of you that are snickering or you're not really sure, I mean, for those of you that aren't sure, keep listening and keep going. And for those of you that are snickering out there, think anything, fuck you. You have no idea. And I'll back it up just a little bit. When I first heard of psychedelic healing programs, from my youth, from my earlier days, I had psychedelics, so I had maybe a little bit myself poo-pooed it just a tiny bit too, so maybe I should apologize to you for those of you that are giggling. But you know what? This was the most serious work I ever did in my life that I've been part of. I entered the psychedelic healing program. I enter it when I'm still homeless in that garage in Nowhere, Colorado, in a detached garage, freezing ass cold in the middle of the winter, living in there in my truck. And that's where I begin, and that's where I meet Noah, this guy. I meet this guy. He's my first guide, and he's the one that helps me start to embark on my journey. And so it's gonna be real fun to have him on and talk about this with him, and let him tell his side of the story. But I enter this psychedelic healing program Nothing else worked. Remember, I told you I was treatment resistant, everything. I am losing my family, and it doesn't even matter. I will try anything. I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I'm suicidal. So I enter the program. I meet Noah while living in my truck. I have my first guided journey, and the real work begins. For those of you that have done any psychedelics in your past or party time psychedelics, this isn't what it is. This is deep work. This is laying there with an eye mask on, with something in your ears, playing soft music. It is not a party. There is no escapism. It's not magic. There's no giggling and laughing. It is deep, focused, intentional work. And then inside this program, it was combined with group therapy, guides, coaches. I had an individual therapist. I had a team of people around me because this was it. If I didn't make it through this, I mean, it was homelessness. It was turning that corner and becoming that. So anyway, in the program, I'm getting online a lot. I get online, everything's online in this program that I'm on. I can be up here on this mountain at 9,400 feet. I can stay up here, do what I love to do, which is write, have my solitude, and the doctors are online, coaches are online, everything's online, so that helps. And the classes, these circles, sessions, these circles that I'm attending, the PTSD circles and the grief groups that I'm attending, I'm seeing, I've said this a lot, other people are talking and telling their stories, and they're telling the story of me. They're telling the story of having CPTSD tear them apart, of losing jobs, of coping all the time, of trying to hide the coping from everything they're doing, of losing relationships over and over again, being unable to keep jobs, and it just keeps tumbling out. And the stories they're telling are the same stories that come out of my mouth that they hear. This is not, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, this healing work is not sitting on a pillow, having a nice flowing white beard, and the sun is coming down on you, and a little unicorn flies over your head, and there's a rainbow behind you in the background. None of that. It's more like kicking a heroin addiction, trying to reorganize your life and truly do it. For any of you that understands this type of work at all, and healing is not what they tell you it is. So when you really heal and you know it, sometimes just getting out of bed is the work. Sometimes all I could do was walk my dogs and take a shower, and that was the day. And I wanted to do stuff. I wasn't enjoying this. I wanted to get out. I wanted to do stuff. I live in a beautiful place. I wanted to be part of a lot of stuff, and I could not. Trying to actually deal with what was inside me, and the adult years, all the violence I'd lived with, everything I'd lived with in my life had left me completely spent and shot, and I could no longer eat or sleep, and I had to relearn everything. I had to even relearn how to be happy, how to smile, how to laugh, and I'm still working at that. But slowly, things start to shift. And it is not linear. Healing is not linear at all. Healing is like Sisyphus rolling the rock up the hill. And some days you feel like you're almost to the top and the rock rolls right back down to the bottom and it crushes you along the way. And that's healing. It is. As one of my healers, as Anissa was in groups, and that's where I met her. This is a good point for that. I met Anissa, who will be on. She will be on this coming Tuesday at 9:30 in the morning. And when I met her, there was so much that I had to learning how to be, learning how to deal with my complex PTSD. And what Anissa taught me was healing is going around in circles. And you see the same stuff. You keep seeing the same stuff. But as you heal a little bit, it changes just a little bit. And as you keep hitting those lessons and those life things keep presenting themselves, you get just a teeny bit better. And that circle, your healing circle, kind of moves up, and you start to kind of go up a little bit. You go up. Sometimes you'll go down, but you'll kind of go up. And it does. You don't realize it. And then one day, like, a book drops hard, and everybody kind of flinches because they know you're going to go ape shit. And I didn't freak out. Little things like that start creeping in. Caroline got a little bit of breathing room. So, we're 34 minutes in. Now here we're at where we're at, and this is why I wanted to do this show and why it came out of me. I took a journey yesterday, and it was profound. Every journey is. They're sometimes good, sometimes bad. Bad meaning they can pull up stuff that you're working on. When you're in these non-ordinary states of consciousness, it's not how we think in our minds. In our normal problem-solving state of consciousness, it's not how things are. So when you're in these places, these non-ordinary states of consciousness, the way the brain works is a lot different. And this is a good place just to have a quick aside and talk about science for just 1 minute, 2 minutes. With psychedelics, whether that's psilocybin, dissociatives like ketamine, DMT, when you take this medicine, it releases, or it causes neuroplasticity to happen in the mind. And it's basically, you are making new neural pathways all in your mind. And that's part of the psychedelic healing, is while you're working on yourself and you're trying to work with your issues, your mind is making new pathways, and you're starting to use those pathways. So for me, with as bad as my complex PTSD was, I kept going back in and journeying to feel better, to work on the hard stuff, like you could hear on day 10, 11, or 12 of what I talked about. If you go back to my YouTube channels or Twitch channels, day 10, 11, or 12, that's where I talked about my life and why this all is this way. So during the last 2 years, I'm taking journeys. There's neuroplasticity that's happening inside my mind. I'm working with group healers. I'm working with guides and coaches. I'm working with therapists. And things are getting better. Still sleepless nights, still some not eatings, but it gets better. Some nights sleeping, eating's getting better. It's all just happening. And as I take these journeys, what's really interesting is when I go into these journeys, it's always like I am being held. And that's always how I've described it. And going into these journeys, I'm held. Something holds me and comforts me, helps me feel better. I don't know what that something is, but that's up for you to decide. Or, I have my own stories about it, but that's not for tonight. And I'm getting better, and I'm feeling better. And in these journeys, I always describe it that I'm being held. Something is just helping me. And yesterday I take a journey. And I'm having visions, if you want to call them that. But I'm standing on beaches. I'm standing on lagoons. I'm standing in kind of beautiful forestry type nature scenes. And it's always just me. And what's interesting, I realize I'm not lonely. And I feel good. The way that I am there, I feel whole. And I just feel good to be me. And it's not euphoria. I mean, sure, but it's not euphoria. It is a profound sense of wholeness. And that was the journey, meaning it just kept being me by myself in this profound sense of wholeness and nothing else. And over all the journeys I've taken, and that's been many, I've never had this before, where it was just quiet and it was solitude and there was no anxiety and there was no rush and it was just me. And I was so glad to be there with just me. And it was interesting because I didn't miss anything, or I didn't wish anything different than just me being with me, being there, having this very profound experience. And this is a little strange, but I end up on the top of Mount Everest. On the tip of it. I've watched movies and different documentaries, so I have this in my brain already. And I'm on the top of Mount Everest, and I am completely alone up there, in the most isolated place in the entire world. The very tip of Mount Everest is, I think, probably the most isolated place before you are just in outer space, or, this. I was completely alone. There was no anxiety, only wholeness, and this overwhelming love for myself. And it all starts to change a little bit, that vision, and I realize, and this, you can't kind of consciously grab this, but I was there by myself, and I was holding myself in that way of how I told you before. I always felt like something was holding me and helping take care of me, and all of a sudden, I'm holding myself. And it was incredible healing. Like, I can't even tell you how good it felt. And all of as you're in this state, the thoughts in my mind are what's going, how I've worked so hard 2 years ago. I'm living in a truck, and I'm living in the back of my truck. And life, I am looking to die. I'm looking for my escape hatch out of here now, because I've been homeless 3 times, and life is so jacked that I just want to release myself off this planet and release everybody that's around me, give them relief too. And now I'm here. I wish I could show you a picture of what I look like, and we'll talk to Noah about that when he's here on the 22nd or the 21st. I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. I'll talk about it later. But when Noah's here on the show, we will talk about when he first met me in that truck. And then even him and I, what we talked about, and the evolution of me over the last 2 years, and it's been amazing. And I'll tell you, they'll throw that different medications in you and everything else to try to help you out, and we all know it kind of numbs and doesn't help that much, and I'm not bagging on it, but I've been on everything that there is. I've done everything that there is trying to help myself feel better. And when I started that psychedelic healing program, even though it was very difficult, and when I tell you I couldn't get out of bed for days, I literally couldn't get out of bed. It was a victory to get out of bed and shower and get the dogs walked. And to be here now, alive, to have started this show, this space, Unmasked, to have nearing completion of the launch of Sage Collective and having that up, for the first time in my life is coming back together. For the first time, I'm having a life at 52 years of age. And you know, man, it feels real good. And I couldn't say that. Any of you that have ever known me, any of you that have been around me, any of you that knew the party Jason, I wasn't happy. I didn't like living. I didn't like being around. And I can say I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. I'm excited about the future. I might have gray hair, and I might be 5 decades in, but I'm telling you, I feel young, and I feel ready to go. So, that's what I wanted to share when I was deep in that journey yesterday. That's what all came over me. I wanted to come out and share this. I wanted to talk about how special this new thing that's happening for all of us in the United States and elsewhere, these psychedelic healing programs that are happening, they're no freaking joke. And those of you that want to bag on it or say anything kind of shitty, man, I don't even know what to tell you other than, you know, GFY. You're a dumbass. This medicine is offering people new life. And I'm here for that. That's kind of my story. Let me look at a note from my producer real quick, if you don't mind. So, as you, that's what I wanted to share with you. That's what I wanted to share tonight, was the power of this new medicine that we have to make ourselves feel better, to go inside. Do you want to know what the greatest adventure is? Do you want to know what people are paying $100,000, $50,000 to go to the top of Everest for one person and drag your ass to the top, whether you're in shape or not. And they think that's the greatest adventure of your life, or I don't know, losing 200 pounds is the greatest adventure, gaining 200 pounds. I don't know. We all have the greatest adventure. What is the greatest adventure? Getting to know yourself. Not running from yourself, not bailing on your emotions, not coping, not eating them away, not smoking them away, not drinking them away, not fucking them away, being there and letting your body cry, let it self, learning to be in touch with yourself. That is the greatest adventure that you can possibly have. To have stuff come out of your body and you know why. You know why you're feeling that emotion. You know what your triggers are. You know what the bombs that are inside your body are that cause those triggers to explode. When you know yourself like that, I can't even tell you how good that feels. I am comfortable in my skin, and I could not say that before. That's why I'm up here doing this. I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have done this a year ago. Maybe not even 6 months ago. Who knows? This just all kind of came up and out of me because I trust myself. Because I trust who I am now. I don't give a shit what other people think. At all. And that's because I'm holding myself now. It's because I'm here for myself. And There is nothing that feels better, and I know that's what all of us really truly want. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. James Baldwin. Where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Rumi. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear to man as it is, infinite. William Blake. I am certain of nothing but the holiness of the heart's affections. John Keats. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. That's an excerpt from Auguries of Innocence by William Blake. Sage Collective. Caroline and I built this for people who are treatment resistant, who need something deeper, slower, and to be held. If you want to know more about that, go to sagecollective.care. The website's live. Sessions are starting to open slowly. Explore when ready. I want to thank all of you that have stuck through with me this evening. For any of you that tried to show up at 7 p.m., I am truly sorry. The gods are funny that way, and they blipped my electricity at 6:30. So, any of you that are rewatching a replay, I appreciate you for spending your time on me, spending your time on us. It takes a lot of courage to stay present. It takes a lot of courage to have the feelings and to not run from them, not bail on them. I'm not going anywhere. I broadcast live on YouTube and Twitch. If you go to Sage Collective on either platform, you can click the little button and it will remind you when I go live. I'm very wary to ever say what time I'm going to go live again, because I think the gods like to pop me, give me a little thump right in the beanbag. Anyway, you don't have to be fixed to belong here. Everybody's welcome here. I don't care who you are. You can be, 14-year-old confused as can be, 75-year-old confused as can be. You're all welcome here. Remember to breathe. Remember to say no. Remember to take care of yourself. You can't take care of anybody else if you can't take care of yourself. You can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself. It's been an honor getting to once again share time with you and tell you my story, tell you my thoughts. I look forward to having guests on in the future, so it's not all me talking. Don't forget, tomorrow, Carol Ann and I will be on in the afternoon talking about Sage Collective. On Tuesday morning at 9:30, Anissa Matthews will be on, the master facilitator for Sage Collective. And on the week after that, on Thursday, and I think that's the 22nd at 1 p.m., Noah Ciboliak will be on. And that's the guide, first guide that met me when I was living in the back of a truck. So anyway, all of you take care. It's been an honor, and I will see you tomorrow. Until then.